Hello everyone. The Union Cabinet has approved the new Education Policy 2020 on 29 July. After a 34-year gap, the new National Education Policy is in fact the first policy by the BJP government and also the first in the 21st century. It is based on the foundation pillars of access, affordability, quality and accountability. It is also aligned to the aspirations of the citizens of the era and is meant to provide vision and comprehensive framework for both school and higher education in the country. The first education policy was approved with the Parliament in 1968. The present education policy of 1986 is the second one, which was modified in 1992, and that is what is being followed in the country for the last 3 decades. With so much changes that has happened over a period of more than 30 years in the country, in the economy and the world at large, a change and revamp in the education system was much needed. Quality, innovation and research will be the pillars based on which the new policy will be formed, which will make India a knowledge superpower. The committee as such has done a tremendous job in its 400-odd page document enlisting the issues that the current system has and what are the changes that has been brought into the new education system and how they have improved considering the early development to the adolescent stage of a child. There are many ideas that has been incorporated in the new NEP so as to make it more holistic and flexible, thereby revamping the whole education, even the teaching and assessment for all the students both in those schools and colleges. The new NEP is only approved by the cabinet and not put forward or approved by the parliament. As such, it is not a law but only a policy. Implementation of various proposals will depend upon further regulations between both state and centre, as education is a concurrent subject. In this video, let's look at what are the major reforms in the new NEP, what are the major issues that we are facing in the current system, and the welcoming proposals that has been proposed in the new NEP. Please watch the video till the end. Before we go further, let's see some of the biggest reforms in the new education policy 2020. First is the teaching up to class 5 in mother tongue or regional language. So emphasis is on the mother tongue. Second is the multidisciplinary, flexible choices of subjects in classes 9 to 12. Third is the lowering the stakes of board exams. 4 is allowing foreign universities to set up campuses in India. Number 5, a single regulator for higher education institutions except for law and medical colleges and common entrance test for universities. And number 6, the new education policy focuses on how to think from what to think. So these are broadly the biggest reforms in NEP 2020. Now, based on this, now let us look at what are the major issues in the current system. So the current system, the major issue, the first one is the no vocational and practical training. Second is the judging everyone with a single set of parameters, that is from class 1 to 10, same subject, same parameters, same way of analysis. So that was a major issue. The third is the limited options to choose from. Commerce, science and humanities. There are not much varied options for students to choose on varied subjects. Not only that, they don't pursue what they have studied. That was another major issue. And lastly, the syllabus, curriculum and system do not make kids the future proof. So these were broadly the major issues in the present system which needed to be addressed in the new education policy of the 2020. So going forward, let's see what are the highlights of the new education system. The first is the change in the basic structure in school system. We will first concentrate on the schools and then we will go to the college. So the 10 plus 2 system will now be divided into 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 format. The first 5 years of a school will comprise of the foundation stage, including 3 years of pre-primary school as well as classes 1 and 2. The next 3 years will be divided into preparatory stage from classes 3 to 5, which will be more activity-based and interactive classroom learning, and following that 3 years of middle stages, that is from class 6 to 8, and 4 years of secondary stage, that is from classes 9 to 12. So the core curriculum and vocational subjects like sports, arts, commerce, science will be treated at the same level. There is flexibility after 10th, and students will now be able to choose subjects like history and physics at the same time in class 11 and 12. That is critical thinking, greater flexibility and choice of subjects. So the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 scheme of education envisages those school dropouts will have a chance to rejoin those school at any time. This is an absolutely a good initiative taken by NEP 2020. There is strict vocational training as well. It has included vocational training in the new policy. That is carpentry, plumbing, electrical, gardening. It can be art related as well. So that training will be imparted. And no bags need to be taken for 10 days in a year by the students from the middle stage. And this is mandatory all over India. So importance of such training is given in most of the advanced Western countries because they look at it in the same way as skilled jobs. So our mindset also needs to change to that aspect, and this has been taken care in the new education policy. Training in programming and coding. Now students will be allowed to take up coding from class 6 onwards. Not in depth, but general knowledge they should be aware of. The skills such as critical thinking, analysis, programming, language, logic and conceptual clarity will be taught in a school. There is a change in the progress card reports as well. The progress card of all students for school-based assessment will be redesigned and will be reviewed by peers and teachers. It will be a holistic 360-degree multi-dimensional report card that will reflect in great detail the progress and uniqueness of each student. The progress card will include self-assessment, peer assessment and teacher assessment. And then there is also ease in the board exam. The board exams for class 10 and 12 will continue. However, the board exams will be made easier as they will primarily test on core capacities, competencies and critical thinking rather than months of coaching or memorization. It also includes promoting libraries. A national book promotion policy will be formulated and extensive initiatives will be undertaken to ensure the availability, accessibility, quality and readership of books across geographies, languages, levels and genres. Now there is also a policy which states the medium of instruction until at least class 5 and preferably till class 8 should be home language or mother tongue or local or regional language. Thereafter, the home or local language should continue to be taught as a language. Unlike the draft, the final policy gives the freedom to the state, region and child to choose 3 languages to be learned. However, at least 2 of the 3 languages should be native Indian languages. Then, it also talks about the common entrance exam for admissions. From school to colleges, it is advised that there should be a single gateway. The National Testing Agency will conduct a common entrance examination for admissions to universities across the country. It also talks about increased spending on developing education. Earlier, it was 3% or less of GDP till last year. In fact, this is very low as compared to other developed countries. The government has committed to 6% of GDP for making all these changes, and this is in line with other developed nations. Now, if we talk about the college level, what are the changes in the higher education, that is in the college level, what are the changes that has been brought in? The first is the multi-entry and exit points in higher education. The new policy will have multiple entry and exit points. Under the 4-year program, students can exit after 1 year with a certificate, after 2 years with a diploma, and a bachelor's degree after 3 years, and bachelor's with research after 4 years. The multiple entry and exit will be done through the academic bank of credit. Now, if you want to do masters, then it is of 1 year. If you have done research in bachelor's with 3+1, or else it is 2 years. So it is either 4+1 or 3+2 In either case, 1 year should be on research. Now, what is credit bank? An academic bank of credit shall be established which would digitally store the academic credits earned from various recognized higher education institutes so that the degrees from the HEI can be awarded taking into account credits earned. Now, departments in languages, literature, music, dance, education, philosophy, theatre, mathematics, statistics, and applied sciences, etc. Credits will be given in all bachelor's degree programs for these subjects if they are done from such departments. The Academic Bank of Credit, established to digitally store the academic credits earned, will obviate internal record keeping in institutions requiring large spaces, creating a singular database with no duplication or security threat to academic data. The new policy will bring a slew of changes in terms of internationalization of education too. Autonomous body. They are going to create an autonomous body will be created to provide a platform for a free exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance learning, assessment, planning, administration and so on, both for school and higher education. Foreign universities in India. The new education policy has paved the way for foreign universities to set up campuses in India. Internationalization of education will be facilitated through both institutional collaborations as well as student and faculty mobility. This will allow the entry of top world-ranked universities to open campuses in India. A legislative framework facilitating such entry will be put in place, and such universities will be given special dispensation regarding regulatory, governance and content norms on par with other autonomous institutions of India. This aims at attracting students from other countries, thus making India an international learning hub and also allowing students to have greater mobility between institutes of higher learning across the world. In the same way, high-performing Indian universities will be encouraged to set up campuses in other countries as well. Now, whether it is preschool, primary or secondary or college education, any policy to sustain need good and dedicated teachers. They are the backbones of educational structure. If teachers are not paid, then national education policy goals will not be effective. By 2030, the minimum degree qualification for teaching will be 4-year integrated B.Ed degree. Now, if you have to look at some of the criticism, it is very minor. One is on the language, that is the debate regarding the medium of instruction, and this has been ranging for past several decades. And there is also another criticism on the 6% of GDP, how they are going to achieve. However, such an increase in funding has always been proposed earlier also, but not achieved for the last half century. So some of the experts feel this, how they are going to achieve this 6% of GDP. There is also an issue or criticism on the transferable jobs or multilingual parents. The NEP does not say anything specially on children of parents with transferable jobs, but acknowledges children living in multilingual families. There is also one criticism which states that there is no consultation with states, and the more power has been given to center, and most of the powers have been withdrawn from states. And some of the experts also say that in theory it looks to be beautiful, but in practical it will be very tough to implement. So these are some of the criticism that has gone with the new education policy, but over time these criticism will also be addressed. This is my view. Now, if I have to conclude and give an opinion on the NEP, I would say that all major criticism has been addressed by the government and has brought revolutionary changes. As a vision for the future of education in India, NEP 2020 has clearly attempted to fill some of the gaps long felt in the school sector. More so, it definitely pushes the much needed reforms, but the challenge lies in the implementation. The introduction of greater flexibility in the choice of subjects and removing the barriers between arts and sciences, curricular, co-curricular and extracurricular and sports and vocational crafts would definitely enable students to study and progress at their own pace, which is a very welcome move by the government. Lastly, there is no better investment that one can make towards a society and its future than giving a high quality education for our young people. And that for sure will pave the way to make India a developed nation and one of the largest economies in the world going forward. Thank you.